as I get older, the more and more I realize that being hot is a mindset. And I know how ridiculous that might sound, but you have way more control over how attractive you are and how attractive people see you than you think. Reality is a mirror. And I'm gonna tell you exactly what I mean. Hey friend, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Jillz and I help women step into their power, tap into their divine feminine, and become their best self, live their best life. So if that's something you wanna do, you should subscribe and stick around. So beauty standards are a very real thing, and I'm not debating that. But here's what I want you to notice. Beauty standards are different from culture to culture, and beauty standards change throughout different decades and different generations. So what does that really mean about beauty? It means that the way we view beauty is not set in stone. And if it's not set in stone, that means that you have the power to influence that. There's this whole aspect of being hot that has nothing to do with your appearance, but everything to do with your self-perception. So there's this movie with Amy Schumer. It's called I Feel Pretty, and it's a great little happy feel-good movie. And there's gonna be some spoilers in here, but this is important to the lesson. So in the beginning of the movie, Amy Schumer's character has very low self-esteem. She's very insecure. She does not like the way that she looks. She lacks all confidence, and you can see this in the way that she goes about her life. You can tell by the way that she's walking through New York City. You can tell by the way she talks to people and how she shows up. Her body language is all hunched and meek, and honestly, she just acts super insecure.
I don't even see a point in applying. I have no shot.
But then one day she falls, she hits her head really hard, and when she gets up and she looks in the mirror, she believes that she has become the most beautiful woman on the planet.
Do I look super toned to you?
I don't know how to answer that.
Now, of course, nothing has changed. She looks exactly the same, but she thinks she's drop dead gorgeous. She thinks she has a beautiful face. She thinks she has a beautiful body. And what happens after that is that her life completely changes. Her career skyrockets. She's not afraid to apply for the jobs that she was once afraid of. She's not afraid to speak up in meetings. She's not afraid to put herself out there. She's not afraid to act like she belongs. She goes from working in a basement to speaking on a huge stage for this big launch. But besides that, she's suddenly the life of the party. Suddenly, everyone loves her. She makes friends easily. She gets invited to things. She stands out in a way that she didn't before. She gets a boyfriend who really loves and cares about her, and the stereotypical hot guy in the movie starts to become attracted to her and wants to get with her. Her life does a complete 180, not because she actually looks different, but because she feels different. She truly thinks she's hot, and so she shows up that way.
Hey, great dress. Aren't girls like us so lucky that we can shop like anywhere and still look fly as hell?
And it's such an interesting movie because you can see the little body language shifts that happen as she has this little transformation and as she bumps her head and sees herself differently. All of a sudden, she starts walking differently. Her shoulders are back. She's not afraid to talk to people. When people look at her, she assumes it's because she's pretty or people want to be her friend, not because they think she's ugly. Her entire self-perception changed, which changed her entire life and the way people saw her. It's honestly the perfect movie if you want just like a lazy chill day or you're having a sick day. It's a good watch. When I was younger, like way younger, I used to feel like everyone was prettier than me, better than me. I felt like all those girls were over here and I was over here. It wasn't even insecurity. It was just, I felt like I was so separate from them. And because of that, I showed up differently. I unconsciously believed that these girls deserved more attention and deserved more than what I did. And that started getting better as I got older, but I'm gonna be honest, one of the main things that shifted things for me was meeting my husband. I met him when I was quite young. We started dating when I was 17. And the way that he spoke to me and the way that he saw me and the way that he truly believed that I was beautiful started opening up my mind to a different self-perception. Because he talked me up and because I know he was being truthful, eventually my identity started shifting. And because my identity started shifting, my reality started shifting to reflect that. When you embody an identity, others start to reflect it back to you. It's sort of the nature of the universe. The universe reflects back to you what you believe. One thing that I was always insecure about when I was younger is my jawline, because it's a little bit wider and more, I guess you would say, stereotypically masculine. And I just never really liked it. But this is just genetics, just everyone on my dad's side of the family, we all have this face. I was always self-conscious about it a little bit, but I decided to change my perception, my self-perception of my own beauty and the way that I looked. So instead of seeing my jawline as a flaw or something that I didn't like about myself, I decided that my jawline would be a unique defining characteristic. This is what makes me unique and stand out, and not in a cheesy way, but truly, this is what makes me unique. Whatever you think is your flaw, you can reframe that as your feature. You do not have to be pretty by societal standards to be pretty. You do not have to fit the societal standards of hot right now to be hot. Like, I want you to think about, what is that thing that maybe you've always been a little self-conscious of because it doesn't fit society's beauty standards right now? And what if you flipped it on its head? What if that thing is no longer a flaw, it's now a feature? Maybe you have a gap tooth. Maybe you have a lot of freckles on your face. Maybe you have a bold Roman nose. Okay, I want you to think about something. Having a gap between your two front teeth did not fit the beauty standard many years ago. But then what happened? Then all of a sudden, a bunch of models started popping up with these gaps within their front teeth. And all of a sudden, it stopped being ugly and it became a defining feature. It became something that made them stand out. Freckles weren't initially the typical beauty standard, but now there are people who are drawing freckles on their face with makeup. Even less and less people are getting rhinoplasties now because beauty standards evolve and they change. Or for example, if you have a mole on your face, what was once seen as a blemish and not something that, ideally fit the beauty standard, Marilyn Monroe, Cindy Crawford, and Madonna all had moles on their face, but it became a part of their signature sex appeal. What was once seen as a blemish and something that they wouldn't want on their face became a trademark. Do you see what I mean? The rules are being made up as we go. In the 90s, it was all about super thin plucked eyebrows, and then Cara Delevingne comes on the scene with her big bushy eyebrows, and all of a sudden that's what everybody wants. In the 1950s, having thin lips was the epitome of elegance and chic, and thicker lips, more plump lips, were seen as unfeminine. And now we are pumping ourselves with filler and overlining our lips to make them look bigger and bigger. Kate Moss, who was a super successful supermodel, she had crooked teeth and a very, very thin frame, which actually didn't align with the beauty standards at the time. It was first seen as unconventional, but instead of deeming it as ugly, it became her feature, a trademark. Even body types changed throughout the years. There was the Kardashian era where everyone wanted to be really curvy, and then it goes back and forth. The pendulum always swings. Barbara Streisand and her nose, she refused to get a nose job, and it became a part of her signature look. So if there's something about you that doesn't fit the typical beauty standard, what if it's not a flaw? What if it's something that makes you unique? What if it's something that makes you stand out? You can either label something as wrong, or you can decide this is the thing that makes me irresistible. This is the thing that makes me unique. This is the thing that makes me interesting. And that decision alone shifts your entire energy. So step 1, identify the one feature that you've always been self-conscious about. And 2, ask, what if this is the thing that actually makes me unique, memorable, and magnetic? Beauty standards are moving targets, and what was once ugly can become a defining feature of an era. So your job is to decide ahead of time that your flaw is not a flaw, it's a feature, and that feature is an asset. And if you carry it like it's your signature, society will catch up. People will start to reflect that back to you. So let's talk about the science behind this. So we have something in our brains called mirror neurons. So mirror neurons are cells in our brain that fire off when we do something or when we see someone else do something. That's why when you see someone yawn, it makes you want to yawn. Or when you see someone trip and fall, it makes you cringe. Or if someone is visibly anxious, it makes your mirror neurons fire in a way that makes you feel uneasy. And if you flip that and someone is so joyful and positive, it makes you feel better. It makes you feel lighter. Your brain will mirror that state and almost start to feel like the way that they're feeling. Basically, humans are wired to unconsciously copy and catch each other's emotional states. So when you carry yourself with a lot of insecurity, when you're avoiding eye contact, when you're shrinking yourself, when you're making all these nervous gestures, people start to feel a little bit uneasy around you. People's neurons pick up on that unease and feel uncomfortable, even if they don't know why. But when you embody confidence, when you have open body language, when you have warmth on your face, when you're relaxed and comfortable, others feel that too. Others feel that calm confidence and that magnetism from you, and they mirror it back to you. They treat you as if you are magnetic. Imagine 2 different women walk into a room, okay? Woman A thinks, I hope nobody notices me. I look bad today. She hunches, she keeps her eyes down, she kind of like moves to the corner of the room. People glance at her, and because of mirror neurons, sense that she's uncomfortable. So they don't engage. And what happens? This further reinforces her belief. Nobody notices me. I'm not pretty. Nobody likes me. But woman B walks into the room and thinks, I'm magnetic. I'm attractive. She walks slower. Her shoulders are pulled back. She makes eye contact with people. She smiles. People's mirror neurons reflect her ease, so they smile back, they approach her, they treat her as if she's attractive. So here's the loop. How you feel shapes how you show up and how you behave. And then that gets mirrored and reflects how the other person acts. And then that reinforces either the positive self-image you have of yourself or the negative self-image you have of yourself. There's also something in our brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. And this is huge for manifesting, okay? So your RAS is a bundle of nerves in your brain that kind of acts like a filter to the world. There are millions of stimuli going on around you at the moment, and you can't possibly take all of that in. So your RAS decides what to filter into your consciousness, into your awareness, and what to filter out, what to ignore. It's why when you start thinking about buying a white BMW, you start seeing white BMWs everywhere. Not because all of a sudden they took over the streets. They were always there, but your RAS is now tuned into them, because where attention goes, energy flows. Your attention literally changes your perception of reality. So if you believe I'm ugly, your RAS filters for every situation that supports that. You remember the one guy who didn't text you back, the awkward glance with that one person, the person who didn't compliment you, and all of that becomes proof. But if you believe I'm hot, your RAS filters differently. It highlights different evidence. You notice the barista smiling longer at you, the friend telling you you look great today, or the way people lean in when you talk to them. Your brain starts to string all these moments together to reinforce your self-image. So let's go through another example. Two women who look exactly identical. Woman A thinks her freckles make her really unattractive. Her RAS filters for times when people don't flirt with her and ignores compliments. She sees herself as not hot, further reinforcing that belief. But woman B, she thinks her freckles make her unique, make her attractive. Her freckles are her signature look, she decided. So her RAS filters for all the times people told her she looked beautiful and that she was cute and that she's unique. Over time, she builds an identity around being striking. Hot isn't about flawlessness, it's about self-perception. And once you realize how much of your reality is shaped by what you believe, you realize how much influence and power you have over your life. So here's the thing, beauty standards are always going to exist. I'm not denying that. But if you make your definition of being hot about hitting whatever the current standard is, whether it's a little nose or big lips or having a certain body type, you are setting yourself up for failure, and you are setting yourself up to feel like you are not enough. And when you feel like a failure and when you feel like you're not enough, you will start showing up that way. And when you start showing up that way, people will start treating you that way. What happens if your genetics don't line up with that standard? Or maybe they do right now, but in 10 years, it completely changes. You'll always be chasing something that keeps moving. Maybe there's something about you that doesn't fit the beauty standard, but that thing not fitting the beauty standard, that means it's ugly. That's a belief. That's a choice. That's a decision that you made. But here's the truth. When you stop trying to fit yourself into this narrow box, you actually make space to see what makes you unique. And that's the funny thing. What you think makes you different or ugly is actually probably the very thing that makes you unforgettable. Think about it. If you look like everyone else, you blend in. That doesn't make you hot and unforgettable. It makes you average. It makes you like everyone else. What if you stopped trying to be like everyone else and started owning the things that make you different? Why not? What do you have to lose? Wouldn't you rather go about life feeling hot? And once you do this, you will see reality will start to shift. Being hot is 90% energy, 10% face. But the problem is that most of you spend 100% of your time stressing about the 10%. Why could Marilyn Monroe be seen out in public and nobody notice her, and then all of a sudden she'd turn on her energy and everyone would come flocking to her? Everyone would see her as this most beautiful creature. It's because hotness is 90% energy, and people will mirror back to you. The universe will mirror back to you whatever you put out. So I hope this is the wake-up call you needed. You're not ugly, you just decided you are. And that decision can change. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got value from this video, and I will see you next time in the next one.